Alright guys, welcome back to Frugal Homestead, and it's kiln update. So our first run of the kiln, let's check out what happened. I'll talk about everything we learned, which even if this wood isn't dry, I'm super happy because I learned a ton. So let's get started. Alright, so to start things off with, I want to mention the changes first. So if you look down in here, there's now 2 lights and a different fan. So the first 2 days, we were getting about, I don't know, 140, 160 maybe, and I had this closed. Now, it was not getting hot enough and it was not staying hot enough, but it also started to melt the fan we started to use. The edging here is all melted. So I had this old computer box fan set up with a switch, a dimmer switch, so we slapped that down in there. And then it still wasn't getting real hot, so I decided to try and open this up to see how much moisture would come out. And my guess is I was steaming my wood, because as soon as I opened that, I thought it was going to lose heat, but instead it let the moisture out and the temperature started to climb. And we hit up to 200 degrees on this thing. So much so that we did some melting. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see all the inconsistencies on that, but it melted. And that's because the lights were pointing directly at it. I have clearly learned that those need to be down in the very bottom with a grating, with a fan under it, and the rest of this needs stacked in this area to allow the heat to rise and run out. So I've been watching 2 other channels do kiln work and building and talking about kilns and drying firewood. One is Trees to Firewood, and the other one is Oak Farm Firewood. He's over in the UK. Now, I will put links to both these channels down in the description box below this, so you guys can go check out their channels. But the one thing both of them have learned in their videos is venting is key. Getting the moisture out of the kiln allows the heat to rise and also speed up the process of drying. Now, we do have to talk about the days drying here, because I ended up getting busy on the 6th day, and you can call it the 7th day today. And I know I had said 5, but the reason we went this long is I was busy the 6th day, and then the 7th day, in case you guys don't know, you have to allow the wood to cool down and acclimate before you can correctly test it. If I was to test this stuff, it probably would say over limit on my meter if I tested it as soon as I turned off the kiln. The wood is completely dry on the outside, but it needs to acclimate, allowing the inside moisture to spread to the outside and even out to one consistent moisture reading. So I basically unplugged it early this morning, and it just sat there all day cooling down. So that's day 7. Now, like I said, the first 2 days I never got it above 150. So those days almost don't count in my opinion. But we need to see what we got here. I put in some things that probably are not going to dry. So we need to crack some things open, do some testing, and see what's going on here and how we did. So I recorded a bunch of these pieces with moisture readings from the sides and the ends. And then I also, right at the end, put in some things that I didn't think were going to. Now this is the base of a pig nut hickory tree, a whole tree. This is the base of it. It was a young tree we were removing. And it's got some checking, but it's still super heavy. And I can almost guarantee this did not get fully kiln dried, because this thing is insanely heavy. It's still full of water. So I don't expect much out of this, but we will see. Now, that's a piece of, it looks like red maple, but we will find out. But if you look at it, the checking, and these are all fresh cut. Everything in here was very, very wet. I think this is cottonwood, but you can just look at, you hear that? I mean, that is super dry. Super dry. I mean, it sounds pretty dry. We're just gonna have to bust some up. But as we go through here, let's see if I can find one real quick. Oh, there's one. So there's number 4. So we have a reading for this, what it started, and we'll see what it comes out to at the end now that's all going through this. But I'm going to dig these out, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on video showing you me cracking them, but then we'll test them. All right, let's use the old kindling cracker. All right, so the inside, 27 on the inside. On the end, it's showing 0. On the other end, let's go do the other half just so we can say we did it. 22. So that maple, if split in half, would have been completely ready to burn. It won't be long now. But let's do the one that I don't think is going to do very well, which is this hickory. Yeah. Doesn't even want to split. Woo. I love that hickory. All right. Anyone want to take guesses? Like I said, I didn't think it'd be done. 54. Let's see what the end is. Ugh. 0. Nothing. So, had this been split, we probably could have got it done. But let's run through our numbers and let's go get all of our numbered pieces and see what we got. All right, so let's go through the numbers here. First one was number 1. All right, and this is the one I'm really looking at because I got a huge pile of cherry here. So this is cherry. So this piece of cherry was 15 on the ends, 25s on the sides when we put it in the kiln. Now, I can't barely push it in. The inside is 22. That's right at the knot. The outside is 11. And the end won't even read. So we're within a few numbers of having this ready to go. Those knots usually will hold more moisture. So we have, come on, doesn't even want to go in. So this half will only read 0. I can't get it to read anything. So that's super close. Now that was on the very bottom of the pile, which is a really good sign. As I said before, this was 15 on the ends and 24 on the sides. We just went into the middle. So, number 2, maple. That's a decent little sized piece of maple. So, put it here. Boom. Now it says it was 18 on the sides and 40 on the inside. Try it in a different area. $17 on the ends. Getting 9 on the ends. So definitely ready to burn on that one. Man, listen to that. Hear that? All right, so number 3 is another maple. All right. This one was 17 on the ends and 45 on the outside. And it's got a big old knot in it. $20. And if we go to the outside, I can push it in as deep as I want. It's all zeros. Push in the end as far as you want, all zeros. All right, so we've been through the maple. Now it's time for the 2 hickories. I don't have a whole lot of, I don't know, faith, I guess you could say. So this one was 18 on the ends, number 4, and 42 just on the sides, not even the inside. So let's see what happens. All right. So the very center is 33. So not ready to sew yet. All right, we got zeros on the ends. Clearly, that could have probably done it had I had those 2 first days. So what this is telling me is that my current configuration, which we're going to go a lot hotter, is it's a 7-day for a hickory and oaks. But they're going to have to be split down to a reasonable size. Now this is number 5. See how much smaller that is? I'm hoping that this one did better because this is more what my customers like. Whether it's for bundle grade, for like campfire pits, or whether it's somebody's fireplace, or even some people with small wood burners, they love these smaller ones, especially my elderly customers. All right. So this one was 17 on the ends and 45 inside, or on the side. I can barely push it in. Okay. So I'm getting zeros there. You guys just saw me split it. And I'm getting zeros there. I'm still getting zeros. All right, I think I found a spot where I'm getting some numbers. 11. Way down at the end. Don't ask me why. Try and shove it in the end. Zeros. So let's try the other piece of that. Maybe we'll get better readings from it. Even though I don't think so. No, still getting 0. So overall, if the hickory split down small enough, and that piece was on top, so yeah, all I'm getting zeros, guys. 0, 0, 0, 0. So if the hickory broke down small enough, 7 days will probably do it. But anything like maple, cherry, probably beech, I would guess, split to a reasonable size, is going to be done in my kiln in 5 days, especially now that I'm running it up to 200 degrees. Now I plan to go higher. All right, so one thing we have figured out for sure is that the smaller pieces will definitely dry better. The pieces on the bottom were not drying as good as the pieces on the top. So like I said, I'm gonna rotate those lights down to the bottom. I actually got new bulbs because those are 275 watts. So that means 150 watts. I got 100 watt bulbs and 150 watt bulbs like that. Now I do have to be careful because of the heat, but I'm getting ready to expand that kiln and just basically build it up and re-insulate it. Now a lot of people are saying you're using electricity to kiln dry this wood. Well, I'm gonna upcharge for electricity, but that's not the relevance, because in my house, if you've seen any of our previous videos, I have grid tied solar, which means 8 to 12 hours a day this can run, and that will offset it on most days. So I'm really not paying for what you guys think I am for this. Now, I did throw some old insulation around that, and it did help the temperature go up even though it was just pressed on. But I really think by putting it lower in there and letting the heat rise through the wood in a fan, that it's going to end up helping. And then later I want to build a recirculating system to where the heat that comes out the top will get pushed back down to the bottom and rotate. But the number one thing is to keep that vent open on the side all the time. Now I have a Inkbird unit that measures the heat and can kick things on and off. I also have an Inkbird unit coming for the humidity side of things, and what I plan on doing is putting in a powered exhaust, which means if the humidity in the kiln goes above, I don't know, 70% or whatever, we'll have to test it and try, then I will have it evacuate with the fan to suck all the air out and hopefully the humidity as well, and then be able to shut off when it gets down to a certain humidity, and then it can heat it up, pulling more moisture out, and just keep that cycle going. Now I have not messed with the dehumidifier yet because it got so hot in there, and you saw what it did to the fan. You saw what it did to the top of the kiln that was plastic. I really don't want to put my dehydrator in there yet, or dehumidifier in there yet. I'm going to try and just keep going like this. I am going to move the lights. I'm going to reload it. But what we're going to do is we're going to reload it with a different kind of wood. Let me show you. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. This is bundle wood. Now there are a few bigger pieces. This has been sitting here for about a month, I think, maybe a month and a half. This is freshly stacked there. But you see how much smaller these ones are? In my bundles, I like to have small wood to help people get fires started, or maybe if they don't want to use all their wood, they just want to throw one more small one down. I know a lot of my guys that have bundles, they may be having a cigar or a drink, and they just want a little more fire for another hour. They don't want to throw a big old piece in to keep it going because they're going to bed. So that's why these are in the bundles. But I think this would be a good test for a straight up 5-day run. So you're going to get 4.5 days of actual kiln drying, and then you're going to have the half day it takes for everything to cool down and acclimate so we can get accurate readings. I will do some test pieces, we'll number them, and we'll log it, and we'll see what we come up with at the end. I will do all that in one video so you don't have to wait for a second video to see the results. So there's going to be lots more content like this coming out. I do have to get caught up on a lot of bundles. There's the rest of the wood that came out of the kiln. So there's a pretty good bit there, considering we took 2 or 3 pieces over and then 5 more pieces, and that's still all that's left. Now that stuff is crazy dry. I mean, when you hear it hit, you can tell. But we want to build this up more later. I've got a commercial, like double door freezer, like you see when you go into a gas station that has pops in it. I got one of those coming. We're going to turn into a kiln. And then I don't know if you guys can see it, but back here in the corner behind the chainsaws, there's a Daka wood burning furnace. The same thing we heat our house with. We have videos on it. But it is pretty much exactly what you want to build an outdoor wood burning kiln. So I'm sure we're going to get to that in the future. It won't be anytime soon because I have so many projects with the tiny house and stuff. But we just ran our first batch through the kiln. It was a success, even though it took a little longer than expected and the numbers weren't exactly perfect. I'm okay with that. My expectations were met. I learned a lot. I got a lot more sources to draw information on in the form of the 2 channels I mentioned on YouTube. If you guys know any other channels that have good information on Firewood Kiln, please put them down in the description or the comments below, because I want to go check them out. I'm trying to learn more, and I'm trying to bring that information to you guys. If you're a family that burns firewood and maybe you got burnt and somebody brought you a bad load that's not quite dry, doing something like this would definitely help. We're not in the coldest part, so if you buy now, if you had to get a bad load of wood from somebody and start drying it out in your kiln, by the time it got cold out, you could have a pretty good stockpile of kiln dried wood. Around here, a third of a cord goes for about $20 to $25 more for kiln dried wood. Now, I'm not trying to get certified. I'm not trying to do any of that kind of stuff. I just want to bring the best product I can, and I don't want to run out of wood. In my business, in doing firewood, if you run out of wood, you're not making any money. So you guys just saw red maple basically go from beginning to end in 7 days. 7 days to have red maple ready to sell. Now I need to grow it to scale. We need to get bigger. We need to do more. But for now, I got a source to keep my bundles going. I do have dry wood to sell, air dried, but it's going fast. And I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to keep going, because getting wood's not the problem. Getting it seasoned is, and that's all of our firewood game problems. So whether you're a homeowner, a business owner, time to start thinking along these lines, because this is the future. This is how you keep your inventory going year round. This is how you get restaurants and keep them happy. So with that said, if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have, guys, go down, join the family, hit subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you see all of our upcoming videos. Give us a like, drop us a comment. Tell us what you think about this. Do you want to see more kiln series? Do you want to see how I'm going to try and run it fully off solar in the future? Because that is coming. That is the end goal, is to run these electric ones year-round off solar. Year-round. All right? And then maybe get the kiln-fired one going and get that one cooking it out. Because that only takes like 150 watts for the blower fan. And then any other fans we add to it. The rest of it would be strictly like slash from the splitter and bark and just junk you'd burn in it. So if you're excited about that and you want to see that, make sure you let us know down in the comments. And I've got to get this thing re-engineered, and in the next video you're going to see a whole different beast, and we're going to see if we can get that wood dry in 5 days. 4.5 cook and a half a day to acclimate so we can test. I will see you guys in the next one.